So I'm not seeing myself talk. Okay, so this proposition really for the festival really come out of a conference that happened like six weeks ago or so with Sarah and the School of Languages in Bangor University. And I had this body of work that I called Hidden in Plain Sight, and which is a selection of boulders or erratic boulders that are collected or left rather by the Ice Age. So there's like these geological features that we have in Snowdonia and also in the British Isles. And I wanted to sort of think about this work and see how it could go through its own metamorphosis, and how I could actually display it in the festival, and how I could actually use this work. So I made it a year ago, and it's been quietly sat in lockdown. Okay, so it was really inspired by a sort of this group of boulders up in Cumidwell that are called Darwin's boulders. And I went out to find and locate the erratics all over Snowdonia National Park, and they sort of like, I was really intrigued by their sort of status, that they arrived in different on ice, so they'd migrated from one place to another, and that they had been left by the glacial retreat, and they were out of place. Their rock was different to the rock they sat on. The lithography was different. And erratic means rare, or in Latin, or to wander as well. So they sort of like wandering migrant rocks. So I had this relationship with these boulders all the way through Snowdonia and beyond, really, South Wales, and asking myself, well, when does it finish? What's the edge of this? Is there a boundary to this? And how many photographs can I make? And then with this rock here, this boulder here, this erratic boulder, this is one of Darwin's boulders, and they were named because Darwin set out to traverse across Wales and to look for the evidence that it was created, the geology was created by ice. And his sort of findings of this group of boulders, Darwin's boulders, sort of proved that they'd travelled to Cumidwell. They couldn't have rolled there because they were different from the mountainous landscape. So that obsession really I've had for like 2.5 years. And then it's kind of like thinking about the metaphor of them and what they meant as people travelling, and how we are also displaced by our environment, and our environment moves us. Some of the sort of common themes that people have been talking about we're experiencing it now from COVID, sort of the political environment and this disruption and this displacement. And that these were sort of like also like hidden as well. So the title Hidden in Plain Sight came from this idea that you had to really wander and find these rocks and make. Sometimes I was shown the geology of them or make a guess. And then I worked on a series and interrupted the space and embroidered and stitched actually into the images. And sort of, so that's a tracing paper, like a double. And interested in these relationships, back to like the other really. So I came across this idea for the metamorphosis, was to how can I sort of relate these bodies. And Sarah sort of came, well, actually, you said the other day, these voiceless bodies, how can I give them a voice? And through the festival came up with this idea that I could create them as postcards. So the postcard size with the statement, talk to me, Shara de mi. And then, we've come up with some propositions really to give them away for free at the festival. So there'll be a postcard with a stamp and an address, so you can send them back to us, to myself, or to Loop as an artist, Loop, to recreate a new body of work, or to send to somebody that you know or that you want to give a postcard to, or to keep for yourself, sort of like talk to me. I've been thinking about this, and like talking to myself, and sort of resituating myself in some ways, and what that means to arrive here, and sort of like calling out to people maybe that are not seen, so that this sort of like, you know, more invisible in the community, or felt even being made invisible with COVID as well. And maybe sort of coming back to that first slide, you know, just going to offer an invitation really to sort of, one is a walk, the postcards will be everywhere, and for free. And then on a Saturday and Sunday morning, a walk, 10 o'clock to, I'm going to sort of post a bit of guerrilla style, the boulders over Bangor City to scale, hopefully, all being well, and to walk and invite people to talk to me, so an interaction. And then on the Sunday, a walk at 10 o'clock, and kind of seeing through photography, and inviting a younger audience really, and parents, to come for a walk with me and find a boulder, find an erratic boulder, because they've sort of been moved again really. So there you go. So that's the idea of my hidden in plain sight metamorphosising to talk to me, which will be to scale and a little bit of Utopia bar, small.